The first activity, Maki came to my room and the two of us had a conversation about our schooling experiences and what it was like for the two of us to grow up in different countries. For the second activity, Maki and I baked chocolate chip cookies together. I identified myself as a baker for this project, so I decided to bake with her what I had considered a typical American dessert, chocolate chip cookies. All of the emotions during the experience seemed positive. Maki was very open with me and answered all of the questions that I had. The only thing that I felt really bad for was once we finished baking the cookies, I offered that Maki take all of them, or at least some of them, for herself, and she told me that she did not like cookies. She was really nice when she told me it, but it still made me feel bad. To be honest, I didn't even think to ask her before the activity if she liked cookies or not. I guess that is one of the things that comes with being culturally competent. You cannot assume that everyone likes what you, or a typical American, would like. I'm sure she still enjoyed the activity because we did get to talk and learn a lot about each other. I did give her the recipe for the cookies if she ever wanted to make them in the future, but I wish she got to take something way more meaningful, such as an actual cookie, because I'm sure it would have made her really happy. First thing that surprised me the most was the difference between college in America and college in Japan. Although Maki goes to college in America, she did tell me about what college was like in Japan. In America, the typical process that one goes through with college is that it's easy to get in, but once you're in, you have to work very hard to do well and to eventually graduate. But in Japan, it's the other way around. It's very hard to get into college, but once you're in it, it's not too hard to graduate. This really shocked me because I know many kids who did not care much about high school, but once they got to college, they really had to mature and work hard to succeed. But in Japan, you had to mature very early and make sure you tried hard all throughout elementary, middle, and high school. I just assumed that college was always the same everywhere. Another thing that surprised me is that in Japan, summer vacation is only 1 month long. I cannot believe this. Growing up in America, I was always used to a 3 month vacation, and really now in college, I have a 4 month one. I always grew up with the impression that young minds need time to rest and that play is an essential part to growing up. If you don't give kids a break, they might eventually crash. Then I saw summer break for high schoolers and college kids as a time to start getting work experience and doing things such as internships. So I was really surprised to hear how short the breaks are in Japan. The third thing that surprised me the most is that I found out that Maki actually lived in America at one point before she came here for college. Although Japan is her native country, she did come here for 3 years after her dad's job, engineering, moved her and her family out here temporarily before moving back to Japan to finish high school. In our first interaction, Maki came to my room and the two of us talked about our countries together. There were more similarities than I had expected, but there were also some major differences as well. I was shocked to hear how similar a typical day was for a student in Japan and a student in America. I knew Japan as this faraway place on the other side of the world and expected their school system to be pretty different than ours. But Maki told me that her typical school day started around 8 a.m. and ended around 3 p.m. She said that most kids did after school activities and she did track and field herself. She took the typical classes that I took growing up, such as literature, math, science, English, and gym class. Her school schedule seemed almost identical to mine as I also did track and field in high school, so this was definitely something that we were able to bond over. Major difference that I saw regarded classes. In middle school and high school in America, kids switch classes and have different people in each of their classes. But Japan is different. Instead, kids have the same people in their class for the whole year, and it's the teachers who move around throughout the class. Other big differences in the school systems happen when the kids are older. In America, to get into college, students either have to take the SAT or the ACT. But in Japan, you have to take a test that is specific to each college. The test is either a pass or fail test, and if you fail, you have to wait a year to take it again. This definitely goes to support the fact that it is harder to get into college in Japan, because here in America, we can take the SAT or ACT as many times as we want until we get our desired score. When I asked Maki why she and her twin sister decided to come to America to study, she told me that it was because of what they wanted to study. Maki is studying kinesiology, and her sister is studying physical therapy. She said that there is a higher demand for kinesiologists and physical therapists in America than there is in Japan, so the two of them both thought it best to study in America. I was excited for the second interaction because I really wanted to get to know about each other's lives outside of school. This conversation was more fluid and casual than the first interaction because I didn't have any specific questions in mind that I wanted to ask her. So instead, we both started talking about things like our families. We talked about our parents' jobs, and we both actually ended up discovering that we're both twins. Her twin goes to the University of Michigan and studies physical therapy. As I said earlier, her dad is an engineer. I found out that her mom works in business, and her sister are both aspiring to work somewhere in the medical field in the future. Maki aspires to be a personal trainer. I asked her if she was ever interested in being a physical trainer for a sports team like the Michigan State Spartans, but she told me no, she just wanted to be a personal trainer. I posted the picture of Maki and the cookies on Facebook with the caption, "For a project this semester, I befriended an international student from Japan, Maki. I got to learn things about her schooling experiences growing up that I never knew before. Today, I shared with her my favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe and we got to bake together." The picture got a total of 57 likes, 5 loves, and 4 comments. The comments were from friends and family members. The first one reads, "Such an amazing project. Hope you learned a lot from her." The second one reads, "Can you please share your recipe?" The third one reads, "Could you send me the interview? I would love to read." And the last one reads, "So amazing. Hope you guys had a blast."